Muy buenas a todos, bienvenidos a una nueva entrevista en Eurovision Info. Hoy estamos con Stefan. Hi Stefan, thank you for accepting our interview and
Thank you
welcome
for
to
having me.
Eurovision Info.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you finally, virtually.
Of course.
Nice.
So, yeah, as Antonio said, you are one of the contestants for this year MESC 2023 to choose the Maltese entrant for Eurovision 2023, which will happen in Liverpool next May. And first of all, we'd like to know more about you, like what's your background, what's your inspirations as a musician, and how do you decided to take part in MESC and Eurovision, and what do you expect from all this journey?
Thank you. Obviously, where do I begin? I mean, it's definitely been a long journey in my case. I mean, obviously, I'm still young, but throughout my experiences in music, I've had a lot of different ups, a lot of different downs as well. I've learned a lot. I've had the chance to release music, revisit my music, see what worked and what didn't work originally. This is going to be my second experience in Malta Eurovision Song Contest. My first experience was back in 2016. It was the year that Eurolosko had won back then. So it was my first time, you know, on that big stage. I was only 19 years old, very little experience about the industry. I was doing a song that I would say that was very run of the mill. You know, I was just mainly there as a contestant enjoying the experience, but not really focused on the competition side of things. Whereas this year, I feel that I have grown a lot more as an artist, especially in the last 2 years. I feel I discovered my sound and my genre of music a bit more. I want to be a theatrical performer. I want to bring forward this alternative pop sound. It's something that I've done last year with my debut release Untrue, which is showcasing the sound. It was very alternative, very mysterious. And this year for MESC, I wanted to bring forward a pop song, but still the sound has an alternative twist because there's a lot of drum and bass, and as a genre, there is also trap music involved in this. As I've said, as I mentioned earlier in previous interviews, whenever I write music, they have to be about my own personal life experiences. And this year with Heartbreaker, it talks about a relationship with my ex-partner, which unfortunately did not go well. So I decided to express those emotions, certain things that unfortunately I wasn't able to say out loud in person. I got to write, as cliche as it sounds, I got to write them in the song, and hopefully I got to say it in a cheeky way, and I do hope that the message will come across to this person that, you know, ultimately I did care about very deeply.
So yeah, as you said, the song is really personal to you, and it talks about basically the name of the song, Heartbreaker. So
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit more? You already told us about the story behind it, but can you tell us a little bit more about the songwriting process? Like when did you start writing it, and if it was like a song specifically for Eurovision, or the idea of Eurovision came afterwards?
No, the song wasn't written specifically for Eurovision at all. Originally, the way I work, I had already written the music. I had already come up with a melody for the song a year ago. Interestingly enough, on the song, I was originally working with Dave Jr. from the Busker, who's also competing this year. We created a few more melodies on the song, but then I decided, this was already last year, so definitely it wasn't planned for Eurovision, but then I decided to take the melody in a completely different direction. Then unfortunately, I was going through a bit of a rough patch with my relationship. Again, I was already writing some lyrics about it because we wrote it at a very particular time. It was a time where I was neither sad but neither happy. I was a bit in between. And then when it officially came at an end, certain lyrics became very triggering for me to write. So that is when I decided to call Mushu. I had worked with him in the past. We are very good friends as well. And I told him, listen, Mushu, as soon as I come back from my holiday in Greece, because I needed a bit of an escape with my friends, I told him, I have this idea of writing the song. I told him I'm finding it very triggering to write these lyrics. I need your help. So we can bring out the best ideas, you know, and we've both been through similar experiences previously. So I knew that he would be an asset for me to create the song. So yes, that is how basically it came about. But then when we were writing the song and when we were listening to how it was coming along, we said, oh my God, this could actually be a bop. It actually feels catchy. And we thought it would be an interesting thing to do a comeback to Malta Eurovision Song Contest and actually show the Maltese public and ultimately European audiences how Stefan has changed from the time he submitted Light Up My Life, which, mind you, I mean, I enjoyed, but it wasn't really showcasing a more current Stefan as an artist. So that was ultimately the main aim why I decided to come back to the competition.
Yeah, of course, that's an interesting journey. It was like yeah, I mean, it felt right for you to go
yes,
ahead and
and
submit.
in between, I have to point out as well, I never really, even though I took a long hiatus, I was mainly studying at university. So I wasn't really releasing a lot of music. I was still doing music for myself behind the scenes. And ultimately, when I graduated, I said, yes, now I really need to focus on this to ultimately, you know, try and make a career out of it as much as possible.
Yeah, of course. So as we know, your song it's going to be released this Friday on the third quarterfinal of for MESC 2023. So we haven't completely listened to the whole song, but for what we can hear, it's like a very, as you said, a beat with drum and bass, like a bass and stuff. But what can we expect for the performance? We know that for the quarterfinal it's gonna be like very static and focus on the voice, so you cannot do like a whole performance. But if you go to the semifinals, which we hope, what are your plans for the staging? You're gonna be alone? Will you have dancers with you? Which kind of a story you want to tell with the performance?
Absolutely. So in terms of my performance on Friday, what you can expect, definitely a lot of storytelling, because obviously you've only had a tiny snippet. There is a lot more that is yet to come out in the verses. That is definitely really personal, I would say. You're going to expect also a lot of energy from my side on stage, and hopefully, in my opinion, a good solid vocal delivery, you know, which is what the song truly merits. In terms of my staging, hopefully, should I qualify for the semi-final, I cannot reveal much. I know this is a bit of a cliche, but I'm still going to keep an... What I can tell you is there's going to be an element of mysteriousness, you know, in the performance. I don't want it to be a cliche performance which is going to focus on the cheesy love, you know, sort of thing, even though it's called Heartbreaker. An element of mysteriousness. I may or may not be alone on stage. I will let you figure out that on your own. Again, there's an element of mysteriousness.
Yeah, of course. And looking ahead, like if you happen to win MESC 2023 and go to Eurovision, what are your plans? Are you happy with the staging you have until now, or will you change it after receiving the feedback from the people, or even change the song? Because we know that Malta can change the song once MESC is over.
So regarding the staging, so far I am very happy with my staging ideas and the general plan that I have should I qualify for the semi-final. Well, if my song Heartbreaker had to win and represent Malta and Liverpool, I definitely want to keep the same staging because, you know, in terms of artistic quality ideas, that is, you know, something we created as a team. Potentially, if that were to be the case, after discussions with PBS, we will elevate it. Regarding the changing of the song, I am not quite sure yet, obviously, if that could happen. That is something that would have to be discussed ultimately with PBS, you know? That is, they hold basically the knowledge to that. I don't have any knowledge regarding any song changes happening this year. I don't have that information.
Yeah, of course. And what will you represent? What will you mean for you to represent Malta in Eurovision? Because you said that you already attempted once, even if you weren't like really sure where were you entering. You know, like well, that you were quite new to Eurovision and MESC and everything. And also, you said it was like a strong year, like because there were really big names as Ira Losko, of course, and Brooke, for example. So do you think that competition kind of like prepare you, and now you feel more prepared for entering Eurovision? And what would you mean? What would it mean for you to represent Malta?
it would mean, I mean, again, cliche, it would mean a lot. First and foremost, from an industry standpoint, the Eurovision Song Contest is now currently being perceived very differently to how it used to be perceived years ago in the early 2000s. You know, nowadays the industry is looking at it, record companies are looking at this contest as a main vehicle to actually promote their music. The contest changed originally with Loreen. She brought something current, she brought something different and avant-garde that wasn't really seen at Eurovision previously, because there used previously, especially when I had started watching Eurovision originally when I was still a kid in 2003, there used to be a typical formula for each of the songs. When Loreen entered that competition, she completely changed the ball game entirely. And that ball game changed once again very recently in 2021 with Maneskin's success. And I wouldn't just stop at Maneskin's success. It also changed in a way that you don't simply need to necessarily win the contest in order to, you know, score a hit globally. We are seeing the success that Rosalind has had globally. She managed to break the United States. Duncan Lawrence has also managed to achieve this. And obviously Maneskin, their global success, a success which we haven't seen since, I believe, Celine Dion's time and ABBA's time. So yes, it is true that the Eurovision now has completely changed, and record companies are having a lot more respect for this contest and also a lot more esteem for the artists that get to participate. And ultimately, if I had to get that opportunity, it would be the perfect opportunity for me to network with other artists, collaborate with other artists, and obviously push my music with record companies.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. In this year, you competing with very big names in Malta, for example, Brooke, Maxine, or what do you think about this competition and your expectation for compete or for that artist?
First and foremost, I'm friends with all of the artists. We grew up together, especially Maxine and I. We constantly communicate on the daily. We've known each other since we were kids, practically. We even competed in the Junior Eurovision, Malta Junior Eurovision together. So we go a long way, really and truly. Again, we are really not fazed by this competitive element. Yes, it is a competition. Ultimately, everyone has the goal to win. Otherwise, I wouldn't enter. I would just sit at home and just watch it from my TV screen. But again, for me, it's mainly about...
Hello.
Sí, se le ha parado, ¿no?
No puede ser.
Bueno,
It was my first heartbreak. It was someone who I truly cared about. And I thought the best way to actually, you know, write my message in a therapeutic way was through music.
of course.
So yes.
And
I have respect, you know, for all artists, and I think the competition is also very diverse in terms of the music that you are listening to in MESC.
Yeah, and you say after you say Eurovision normally, yes, and if you have any favorite for us from Malta or for other countries or countries.
You mean a favorite from Malta, the Malta competition?
Yeah. In general, some general favorite for Eurovision.
Yes, I have two favorites actually, if I can mention. I have this, definitely Destiny, Jimikas. I really like that song, especially the high climax and the bridge that she does. I think she is phenomenal vocally. And I would have to say Ira Loskowit, Walk on Water. Those definitely are my favorites. Internationally, then, my favorite winner, probably this is not expected. I'm not even going to mention Euphoria, which is amazing, but I love Sertab Erener's Every Way That I Can. Every way that I can. That was my first Eurovision memory, so I really love that song. It has that Turkish, Arabic vibe, you know, going on. It's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really nice. And from the recent years, do you have any favorite song? Because as you said, like there are like a really good songs recently, like that they made a really big impact recently. So
yeah. And you tell me who represented you last year?
Yes.
Queen Chanel, of course. I thought she was phenomenal on stage. It's incredible that she was able to move so much and also, you know, deliver a solid vocal, which is very very, very difficult to do. And I know because I am currently doing that right now, you know, in terms of movement, not on Chanel's same level, please note, but obviously it requires a lot of stamina. So the fact that she was able to do that so flawlessly and so beautifully is amazing. I think definitely one of the best entries from Spain in recent years.
Yeah.
And I'm a Eurovision fan, and I know many of the entries. There's another song from Spain which I love, which was from 2009. I think it was Soraya.
Yes.
I really love that song. I think it's really cool. So yes.
Amazing. So yeah, so you said that you also participated in Junior Eurovision, so you've been like a really Eurovision fan since since a kid. So yeah, and we know that Malta is one of the best countries in Junior Eurovision. Like there are a lot of young talent in the island, so that's a really, really nice.
It's a part of our culture.
What? Sorry?
It's a part of our culture in a way, really and truly. Everyone is obsessed with it here. Even people who say that they don't watch it, or even people who think it is uncool, but still they watch it, you know, secretly.
Yeah, it's similar in Spain. It's always like people are like, even when we don't like our entry, like is the show that it gets the most audience on the year. So yeah, and now we have that this program which is Benidorm Fest, which is like similar to MESC, but with less artists and stuff, and it's very new and it's getting a lot of attention. So yeah, I think now Eurovision is getting more trendy in Spain.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for your time and for the interview. You were really nice, and thank you so much for your time to answer our questions and in between rehearsals. And before we go, if you could send a message to our viewers of Spain Eurovision Info and your fans that are watching this video, that would be great. And good luck for semi-final and the finals. We hope you make it to the stage, and
I hope so too.
we can't wait to hear your song literally in 4 days.
4 days time. So first and foremost, thank you for having me. I just want to say I do hope that, you know, the international Eurovision fan community and also the local Maltese audience connects with my performance, that they understand my message. I'm not saying something that was never told before. I'm not reinventing the wheel. However, the message is deeply personal, and I'm getting to say what I went through from my own perspective as an artist. So I do hope that that message comes across. Keep on following the Eurovision Song Contest, keep on supporting the Maltese artists, and obviously stream our music on Spotify.
Of course.
Once it's available.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.